Hello guys! Today we will go a little bit deeper in HerbsJS. And for start, we will learn a little bit more about documentation. Yeah, the documentation. And we will learn how to navigate in documentation, how you could to consult the Herbs libraries features and glue features, and understand how you could connect the glues into your core domain and everything else. Okay, let's go. So we have the documentation here, and the first step to access is to access the herbsjs.org. So after that, we will have this visualization, and here we have a get started option to check our documentation and a start option to go to our GitHub. Okay, so here we could to see all repositories, all libraries, and all projects related to HerbsJS. So inside each repository, we have a documentation to talk about how you could to contribute, how you could to use it, how you could to install it. Okay, so in the documentation too, we have here some our values like domain that matters and everything you already saw in the last video. And going a little bit down, we have here the example explaining everything we talked in the last video and what we will see in the next videos too, like our entities and use cases. And check here, we have just a little code that represents our domain, and with this code, with our entities and our use case, we could to generate our repository, our GraphQL layer, our REST layer, our documentation. Look the value of the herbs. Look how the herbs led you to focus on the main, focusing what matter. Going a little bit down, we have here an explain about how the herbs works, and if you don't get this explain, and if you don't understand this diagram, go to the last video that there we have an explanation about this. Going a little bit down, we have two features like the shelf, that is the glue to generate your documentation based on your domain. We have a CLI that we use in the next videos for create our project that use all Herbs ecosystem. And we have in our footer that has our documentation and our community. Here we have the Stack Overflow community, Discord, Twitter, and more. We have our GitHub and our acknowledged. We will see it soon. In the header page, we have our social media too, like Twitter, Stack Overflow, and Discord, and a dark mode. Yeah, we have a dark mode. And going to get started, at the left we have a menu bar that we have an introduction with get started and what is HerbsJS. We have a tutorial explain how you could to start a new project using our CLI, a project that use all libraries that Herbs could provide you. We talk about project, so we have our motivation, the guideline architecture. We have our roadmap and how you could to contribute with HerbsJS. Yes, if you don't know how to contribute with open source communities, please read this session and learn how you could to start contribute with open source projects. Here we have cheat sheet about how you could to start and fork code and open your pull request, and we have all details about how you could to do it. And if you make a contribution in HerbsJS, we have the acknowledged session that we show all contributors GitHub account. Look so much developers and non-developers already contributed with HerbsJS. If you need to do some presentation and something like this, you could use the Herbs logos and could download everything in main format here. We have an explanation about use case and here we explain a little bit about clean architecture. So in Get Started, we explain what is use case and how you could start creating a use case. We have our features, our steps, and everything else. We explain about the entities, the validation, and to finish we have our glues. Here we have what is a glue and how you could use it to generate our infrastructure layer. So after you created your entities and your use case, you could use the R glues for generate REST, GraphQL, repositories, documentation, and so much more. And we have why we used glues and what is a glue, and we have documentation for each glue library that we have written. At the right side, we have a second menu that is about this current session. So we have getting started about Herbs to GraphQL, the Herbs to GraphQL features, how you could contribute to the license, and everything else. And this is the Herbs documentation. So you could to consume it to remove your questions and to access our Herbs community and get involved with the project. So thank you very much by watching and see you in the next video.